Hi beauties, it's your girl Syndie. Welcome back to my channel if this is your first time clicking on a video of mine. And in today's video, I'm going to be giving you guys a little bit of a life update, why I moved to Houston, how's it going, how am I liking it. I asked you guys on Instagram and in the community tab, and you guys had some questions for me, so I'm going to answer them as best as I can. So if you guys would love to see more, then let's get right on with the video. Alright, so the big question that everybody has been asking me since day one when I decided to move, since I've been packing, why did I move to Houston? It's probably the question I get asked the most, even when I just meet people out. They always ask me, oh, why did you move to Houston? Why did you leave Boston? And so the number one reason why I decided to leave Boston is I've been there my entire life pretty much. So I was born in Haiti. I came to the US when I was 6, and I lived in a city south of Boston my entire life pretty much. I went to school there, I went to college, I even moved out of my parents' home, got my own apartment, still in the Boston area, South area, and it was nice. I absolutely love Boston. I love the different weather. I love seeing the fall leaves change. I love those like strolls down Newbury Street. I love going to Seaport. I love Boston. I truly do. I think it's a really beautiful city, and Boston is a historical city, but being that I lived there my entire life, it was time for me. It was time for a change. And it's funny because I always said that I wanted to move. So I remember going to college, I originally wanted to move somewhere else, and then that didn't work out. And so I was like, you know, I'm gonna stick it out after college, then I'll move. And then I got a job, and I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna stick it out at my job for 1 year, and then I'll move. And I was just really blessed that that's how it happened, because when I got my job, I did work from home a couple of days a week sometimes, and because they are a kind of like tech company, we have a lot of people who live in different states, who work in different states, and actually it's an international company. So when the pandemic hit, it's funny because I was telling my boss, actually before the pandemic, that I wanted to move, and Texas was one of the places that I wanted to go to. And so that was something that was already in the works in the beginning of 2020, but because of the pandemic and because of everything that happened, I decided to stay in Boston a little bit longer. And when my roommate was moving out, I figured this is a great time for me to see what it's like living on my own before I move to a city and a state where I don't have any friends or family. So everything worked out. I was enjoying it, and so I decided this was the perfect time for me to move. And another reason why I moved is because where I was living was more of a suburb type area, and I wanted to be like almost in the heart of the city. But with living in Boston, there's a lot of issues with parking. The streets are narrow. There's basically no parking. Parking is non-existent. And I didn't want to deal with that, especially when there's snow. It's a hassle moving your car so that they can clear the roads and then getting your car after. So I really didn't want to deal with that. And also living in the heart of the city like that, cost of living is pretty expensive. And I didn't see myself kind of spending the amount that I would have to spend to live in a city like Boston. I just didn't see myself spending that much because it's pretty pricey, and I feel like for what I was getting for space, for all the hassle, I could go somewhere like Texas, for instance, and get that. So that was the other reason why I was like, all right, I don't really want to be in the heart of the city if it's going to be Boston and deal with all that. So I need to find somewhere else where I can comfortably get all the things that I wasn't getting. And because of where I was living, I was definitely like more family oriented, and as someone who does not have a family, I wanted to be in a city that had more fun things to do. Not saying that Boston didn't have fun things to do, but where exactly I was living, like it was a hassle. I would have to drive into the city, pay for parking, deal with traffic, and I really didn't want that. I wanted somewhere where if I wanted to just be in the heart of the city, I just get in my car, 10 minutes, 5 minutes, and I'm there, and I can find parking, and I don't have to worry about driving around for hours or paying $50 parking. So that was the other reason why. And I think the last reason why is I wanted some place that had a little bit more diversity, because I feel like Boston has diversity, but it's like in certain areas. Like you'd go to one area and it's like all one type of person, and then you go to another area and it's like, well, okay, well, I feel more comfortable here and I can relate. And I just like kind of got tired of always trying to I don't know how to say it, but it's like when you go somewhere and like you can't really relate because people already have prejudice about you, and so you are trying very hard not to kind of show that. I don't know if that makes sense, but basically I got tired of that. Like for instance, where I went to college, in 90% of my classes, actually in like almost 99% of my classes, I was the only black person, and if I wasn't the only black person, I was one of like 3 other black people in the class, and I just didn't feel comfortable. I didn't fit in. And even at work, like although I love my job as an analyst, I love my team, but I was the only black person on the team, and like I really wanted somewhere where I can have more people who look like me, talk like me, act like me, and just feel more comfortable. So I was like, all right, I think it's time for me to go somewhere else. So that's pretty much all of that. And also the other thing that I was tired of in living in Boston is the weather. Now, I love spring, summer, fall, but those winters, oh my goodness, it gets so cold. And then the snow, that's just something that I always did not like about Boston. Like every time it snowed, oh my gosh, I would get so mad, and I'd be like, oh. And like I remember, because my birthday's in December, almost every birthday I would plan dinners and stuff and have people over, and it would snow, and then like now I gotta change my outfit, and I just got tired of it. Funny story, like last winter right before I moved, I had to shovel out my car because we got this like blizzard. And I was outside for hours because I had to keep going every couple hours to clean up my car. And when I got back inside, my nose was cold, my hands were cold, my toes were cold. I literally said to myself, this is the last time you have to shovel out your car. This is the last time you have to deal with any type of snow, because I couldn't deal with it. I was just like, I'm over it. Like, I'm moving, like right now. And so that is like the other thing, like the weather, I couldn't deal with it. So it was time to move. So now the big question is, why did I choose Houston out of like all the places to move in the world? And a lot of the reasons why I moved away from Boston was because what I wanted that Boston didn't have, Houston has, and so it was like a perfect situation. Number one, cost of living. Living in Houston is so much more affordable than living in Boston, because for my apartment, I did the math right before I left. I did the math of like the square footage of my apartment, the amenities, the view, and just like distance from being in like some of the areas where there's more things to do. I don't want to say too much because then I'd kind of give away like where exactly I live. But I did the math, and I believe the apartment that I was like comparing to in Boston with equally the amenities and everything else was about, I think it was like 2,200 or 20, it's like 22 to 2,500. And that's way more than what I'm paying for my current apartment. So the cost of living was like, it was perfect. Like I had to. And the other thing is just like parking. I feel like I can get in my car and I can go somewhere, like perfect example, I can go to River Oaks, Galleria, or any of those areas, and I will be able to find free parking. And if it's not free, there's like $20 valet or street parking or something like that. In Boston, I would drive to Boston and drive around for like forever trying to find a parking spot. And then if I couldn't and I decided that, well, I'm gonna get valet or pay for garage, it's like $30 to $40 to $50 for parking. And so being here, the cost of living so far is so much better. And even in terms of like car insurance, my utilities here, it's so much more affordable, because in Boston I was paying like almost $100 for internet here, and living here I'm paying like $50 or $55 for better internet. And I know from being in tech that every year as things improve, like cost of things go down, but I still think that cost of living here is way better than it is in Boston. And same with my car insurance, like I was paying way more in car insurance than I am paying now. So I will say cost of living, it was one of the major things on my list, and Houston has checked that off. And so that's one of the reasons why I moved to Houston. The other reason why I moved to Houston is when I came here to visit, I feel like, I don't know, it was just something about being here. I just felt so comfortable. I felt so like at peace. I felt so like welcomed. And it's the hospitality here. Like everybody's always like, my pleasure, thank you ma'am, no ma'am, yes ma'am. And in Boston, I never got any of that. So like living here, the hospitality, like people are just more welcoming and warming. And also I feel like people are more laid back. So like being up north, it's very fast paced, it's very quick. And I feel like here it's a little bit slower and gives me time to adjust. So I absolutely like that about here. And obviously I got tired of the cold, so I love the weather here. I love that it's almost like summer 24/7, except I'm a little bit tired of the heat, because I'm so used to like around fall time where it's like getting cooler, the leaves are changing, the weather's a little bit, you know, more breathable. And right now, although some of those things are true, it's still very hot. And I have to remember that I need to dress in layers. Like I'll get dressed for the morning to go out and I'm wearing like a sweater. 2 hours later, it's like 80 degrees. So that's the only thing I have to get adjusted to. But in terms of not snowing, in terms of not being freezing outside, I love it, okay? I am a fall baby, so I don't really like dealing with winters. And although it's a little hot for my liking, but I'll get used to it eventually, because I'm here now, and this is one of the things that I got tired of in Boston. All right, so we lost a little bit of sun, so it may look a little bit different, but the next thing that I'm gonna be talking about, which I got a lot of questions on, is how am I making friends here in Houston? How am I meeting people? Did I move here with anyone? And so I moved to Houston completely by myself. I just took all my stuff, had some movers, and I decided to move. So I don't have any family here. I have some like friends, I guess you can say. I'm slowly making friends, and pretty much how I was able to make friends, which I talked about in like the moving video, I think, how to move out of state, is really just being open to connecting with people. I'm in a lot of like different groups on Facebook, so I'm in a lot of like different Facebook groups, and so I meet people through that way. And also just like being friendly, being approachable, talking to people, making conversation, just meeting people the old-fashioned way. That's really like how I've been able to make friends. I feel like I'm still building my community. As an adult, it's harder to make friends, because I feel like a lot of the friends that I have back in Boston were through school, were through work, were through just places that I was every day, and I was, you know, running into them. So now that I'm an adult and I don't work in a brick and mortar job, and I'm pretty much home a lot of the time, or if I am out, it's mostly like, you know, coffee shops, grocery stores, things like that. So it is a little bit harder to make friends, but it's not impossible. There is so many ways you can do it. I'm still figuring out, but I think I'm making great progress. I feel like I have, you know, 4 to 5 people that I can say are friends now, even though it's very early, but that's just how I've been able to do it. So that's how you can. If you guys have Facebook, there's a lot of great Facebook groups out there you can join, and you can find people who have similar interests. And that's just something that's been life-changing for me, because a lot of the women that I've made friends with are through these groups, so we already have things in common. Actually, you guys will see in Vlogtober, We're gonna be going out and doing some fun activities for the weekend, so that's just how I've been able to do it. And then I'm just looking at a lot of the questions that you guys asked me. A lot of you guys asked me questions about work and everything. So if you guys don't know, I did quit my corporate job. So I used to work as a data analyst. I did quit my job. It's been about 2.5 months now. And a lot of you wanted to know, like, how's that going? Like, am I going back to work? How's my mental health and everything? A lot of those questions I'm going to answer in a separate video because I feel like I have a lot to cover in that video. And also, I just want to wait till the 3-year mark. Not 3 year. I just want to wait till the 3-month mark because I'm like an analyst. I think in quarterly metrics, and also I just feel like it's a better measure of a full 3 months. So I'll do that then. Some of you guys asked, like, what's a good area to live in Houston? I don't know all the areas like that, but some of the areas that I feel like I've been to that are pretty nice is the Galleria area, it's the Heights area, and Montrose. I've driven around there, or I've gone to restaurants or things around there, and they feel very nice. Oh, Rice Village, Highland Village. So those are some of the places that I've been around, and it seems very nice. It seems like it'd be a good place to live. Experiences in Houston so far, pros and cons. Pros, there's a lot of nice restaurants. There's a lot of activities you can do here. I'm also in this group. It's like things to do in Houston, so they're always posting a lot of things to do. So I feel like there's a lot of things you can do. There's art museums, art galleries. There's botanical gardens. There's lounges and clubs. I have not been to a club because it's not really my type of nightlife. I've been to 2 lounges. I've been to 1 lounge. It was nice. So I will say there's a lot of things to do in Houston. The cons of Houston is that it's really hot. Like, it gets really, really hot and humid. Like, to the point where you will walk outside and you will probably want to go back inside and go take another shower because it's that hot. I remember one time I got in my car. I think the dashboard said it was like 109, and then I sat on the seat, and I have leather seats, and it was like the hottest thing ever. So that's the con. Obviously, like, hurricane season, and where I live, I feel like every single day it was raining. Like, every day it was raining, like thundering, lightning. And so I didn't like that, and I think that's a con. Other pros of living in Houston: cost of living. The weather is fairly nice, except for like hurricane season and the heat. The people are very nice. Everybody that I've met is like super nice, super lovely, super friendly. How's life going so far? I feel like life is going great. I can't complain. I've been really enjoying living in Houston. I've been enjoying exploring. I've been enjoying just being outside of my comfort zone and trying something new. Yeah, I've been really enjoying it. A lot of you guys asked me questions about editing and being a content creator, and a lot of like how I was able to build my business and build my brand. I'll answer those in a separate video, I think, because I'm still learning the whole being a businesswoman and being a content creator and having a brand. I'm still learning a lot, like, you know, from getting my LLC to getting business credit to getting a proper accountant and bookkeeper and a lot of stuff. So I'm still learning. I don't have enough where I feel like I can like cover in a full video for you right now, or if I'm like knowledgeable enough to share. How do I keep track of finances? I kind of share that in a separate video. Sharing how I saved $30,000. And also some of you guys asked me how did I basically quit my job and how did I end up moving. So I had a pretty decent savings, and Was very disciplined in saving before I did all of those. So I did talk about how I did so in that video. So if you guys are looking for like finance type and personal finance type videos, it's in there. Some of you asked me, do I plan on staying in Houston or do I plan on moving back to Boston? Definitely right now I don't plan on moving back to Boston, although I do miss my family, and like especially since the holidays are coming up, I miss my friends and my birthday's coming up. I miss that. So I was just talking to my sister. Hopefully she's gonna come soon, and then I might go for my birthday and stuff, depending on how things go. I don't think I'm going to move back to Boston. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna stay in Texas. Right now I think I am gonna stay in Houston for a little bit longer. I don't think I'll be moving anywhere else yet. How hard was it to find your mark? Do you feel like the city is for you? Would you recommend others make the big jump and start over? So I feel like I'm still trying to find my mark per se. So that is something that I'm still working on. But I do feel like Houston right now is for me. The only things that I feel like I miss that Houston doesn't have that Boston does have is I feel like Boston, in terms of like their downtown, it's way more fun. There's a lot more to do. The views are just a little bit nicer because in Boston there's a lot of different rooftops, like bars and restaurants that I love to go to, and I don't feel like Houston really has like a rooftop vibe type of city. So I miss that. I kind of miss the culture in Boston sometimes. I feel like Houston is very, very chill, very laid back, and sometimes I feel like I like that quick, fast pace. I miss that a little bit, but not too much. And what I recommend others just, you know, moving, starting over, and leaving friends and family. I feel like you really just need to figure out why you want to move and start kind of like writing a list up, like the pros and cons, what you wish your city had that it doesn't have, and I think that can help you start figuring out if you want to move. But I highly recommend moving even if you are leaving friends and family, because at the end of the day, if you don't like it, you can move back. Guys, it's not permanent. And that was the other reason why I decided, I was like, I'm just gonna move to Houston. Even though I only came here once, I enjoyed the vibe, and I'm like, if I don't like it, I can always move back to Boston, or I can always just move somewhere else. Like maybe I'll go to Dallas, maybe I'll go to San Antonio, maybe I'll go to California, maybe I'll go to Atlanta. Like, it's not the end of the world. It's just a city. If you don't like it, you can move back. So I highly recommend it. How does Houston vary from being from the East Coast, West Coast culture? I think I kind of already talked about that. I feel like there's more diversity here in Houston. So there's that. I feel like you will get a bigger pool of different types of people. It's more slow pace here. I do feel like though, Houston is a little bit more of a, I wouldn't say it's a party city, but I feel like Houston has more party scenes than Boston does. Although I haven't really gone out like that to those types of things. Networking. So you guys are asking about networking. So there's a lot of different groups that you guys can join, like I mentioned before, and not just on Facebook, but there's like Meetup, there's Eventbrite. You can find a lot of different things on there. You can join a lot of different things. Like that's just how I'm slowly trying to network, and I'm trying to join different clubs. Like I just recently joined the Houston Polo Club because that'd be a great way to network. So there's that. Safety. So a lot of you guys ask me, do I feel safe living in Houston? I don't have any problems. I feel very safe, but I think it just depends on like where you go and what you do. I don't really stay out past like 9 or 10 o'clock unless I'm with people, and I also don't go clubbing. I don't go, like I really just I think it's just I go out mostly during the day. I go out in places where there's a lot of people. I don't stay out too late, and I think where I live is fairly safe, so I don't really feel like Houston is not safe, but I'm sure there's areas that have crime just like any place in the world where you live. Oh, and then a lot of you said, why did I choose Houston? I mean, a lot of the things I outlined, I had choices between Atlanta, Dallas, LA, and just anywhere in Georgia, and I was looking at just like the nightlife in Atlanta. I don't know what it's like, but it seemed like it was a little too quick pace for me, and also I just didn't really want to live there. And then for LA or California, the cost of living in California is way more than the cost of living in Boston, so that was out of the question. And then it was Dallas, but I didn't get a chance to really visit Dallas. And a lot of like what I heard about Dallas is that it's much smaller, and so I wanted to be in a city that was bigger because I feel like Boston was pretty small, and I wanted someplace a little bit bigger. So that's why I ended up choosing Houston. And when I came here, I loved it. So I was like, I'm just gonna move, and if I don't like it, I'll go visit Dallas, and then I'll move there if that's where I want to go. All right, so a lot of you guys, like a lot of you guys asked me questions about dating, what's it like dating in Houston, how's it going, blah blah blah. You know, you guys really wanted to know. As far as like the dating scene in Houston, I've only been on a couple dates, so I don't feel like I have much to say in terms of the dating scene. And I also think it just depends on like what you're looking for when you're dating. Like, are you dating for a long-term serious relationship? Are you dating for fun? Are you dating just to date, get a free meal? Like, you have to really just figure out why you're dating. For me, I'm dating with a purpose. So I'm dating guys who want serious committed relationships, who want to get married and have children. And so that's like where I am at with dating. And so far I feel like it's worked for me because I am in a relationship, so I feel like the dating scene is good. But like I said, I've only been out with a handful of people, so that's pretty much like what I have to say about the dating scene. So yeah, that was the last question you guys have been dying to ask me. Are you with someone? Are you dating? So yeah, so that's pretty much like my update of living in Houston. So overall, lived here for 6 months. I feel like I love Houston. I love the weather. I love the people. I love the vibes. I do plan on staying here for a little bit longer. I don't see myself leaving anytime soon. And I'm just very excited. I'm glad that I made the move to leave my comfort zone and finally move out of state. Sometimes it throws me off. I'm like, wow, I really just packed up all my stuff and I moved almost halfway across the state, the country. So yeah, I highly recommend it. If you are someone who wants to move, I say go for it. I mean, life is short. If you don't like it, you can always move back. It's not permanent, you know? I feel like being here has really pushed me outside of my comfort zone. It's made me uncomfortable. It's made me learn new things about myself as a woman. It's made me learn like who is Syndie, and just a lot of great things. And I just think that anybody who wants to do it, if you can comfortably do it, then go for it, because you're always gonna wonder, like, what if, you know? If I stayed in Boston, I would always be wondering, like, you know, what would it be like if I moved to Houston? And now I can say, you know, I know what it's like, and if I don't like it, I'll go somewhere else. And so I hope this video was helpful for you guys. I hope it answered all of your questions. I had so many, but I kind of just like bucket them. If I missed anything in this video that you guys would like me to talk about, comment down below, let me know. And also a lot of the questions that you asked me about, you know, work, why I quit, how's that going, finances and all that, I'll do that in a separate video. And also just with the content creation and stuff, I'll do that in like a separate video or a blog post, because I do have a blog. It's called beautifullysyndie.com. Link that below. I hope you guys enjoy. Thank you so very much for watching. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. My channel is growing and I couldn't be more happier and excited. And I just want to say thank you to every single one of you guys for supporting me on this journey. And I'll see you beauties in my next video. Bye.